Today I'd like to share with you my thoughts about what it takes to get your dream job with a company that's a perfect fit for you. Now, I could give you additional tips and tricks like I do in most of my videos, but I think you'd be best served today by stepping back a bit and sharing with you my observation of mindset changes that have to occur in order for you to be successful in your search for the career step that you truly deserve. Hi, Tammy Kabell with Career Resume Consulting, and in this video we're actually going to talk about what it takes to obtain your perfect job, the one that you've been dreaming about for possibly years. And we're actually going to talk about the principles and a framework to help you get to your loftiest goals and your ideals, and your biggest ambition and your mighty mission, and get that done. But I want to start with a little philosophy, and I want to start with a story. So I read a story a while ago about this Indian maharaja, and every morning he would wake up and he would do this very bizarre morning ritual. He would actually celebrate his own death, his own funeral, complete with music and flowers, and all the while he would be chanting, "I have lived fully, I have lived fully, I have lived fully." Now, when I first read about this, I really could not understand why this man would create this bizarre morning routine. You know, there's better morning routines out there, and I'm actually even going to share some with you, great morning routines, that is, in this video, that are going to be hopefully game changers for you. But back to the maharaja. So as I was reading this story, I kept wondering why this guy would get up every single morning and recreate his own funeral. So as I read further into the story, I found out that this man had created a morning tradition to connect himself to his mortality. This man is doing this daily practice to remind him that every day could be his last. And my point is simply this. You know, life is ultimately very, very short. And most people in the world right now are very busy being busy. And because of their daily habits, they're postponing their greatness. I see it as they're postponing doing their dream. They're postponing living their authenticity. They're postponing lifting up the world and creating the lifestyle that they love and that they deserve, because they're really trapped in living out their days in a really, really reactive mode. And so what I want to do for you in this video is really walk you through how to set goals like a true history maker. And I also want to remind you that there's a call in your life. I mean, you know, there's no extra people on the planet. That's my thought anyway. And the very fact that you're alive today means that you have a mighty mission inside of you. You may not have tended to it, and you may have forgotten it. And right now you actually may be discouraged right now, especially if you're in a job search, or you're sort of coasting through life. Well, I'm here, we're here in this together, and I'm going to help you get to your next level in your career with these videos. And when I use the term world class, when I use a term like A player, it's to help you be more productive, and it will make you more income if that's one of your goals. And yes, it'll help you really dial into the clarity around your career goals. But a lot of what I do as a career coach is rooted in psychology of everything that has to happen up here to attain your career ambitions. And so I just want you to know that when I talk about being productive, I'm talking about being productive in the world, but I'm also talking about personal mastery productivity. When I talk about being uber successful or world class, yes, I'm talking about being owning your craft and leading yourself, leading your field, making history, changing the world, living a beautiful lifestyle. Of course, you deserve that. And yet at the same time, I'm also talking about a sense of soulfulness and, being authentic and loving yourself and being compassionate and doing what you do with a ton of heart. So with that, let's talk about goal setting. I once had a client, and he was a jet pilot. I've actually coached a lot of jet pilots over the years. And this one jet pilot, one of my all-time favorite clients, he said to me, "Tammy, when we were trained in the military to fly, we were trained to fly before we fly." And I said, "What do you mean by that?" And he said, well, before we actually fly the jet, we imagine and go through a complete strategy document about what we want to have happen in the flight. And I think that that's a really great metaphor for you each day, each week, each month, even each decade, and for the rest of your life. You see, you don't get lucky, you make lucky. And this is such a seduction of society that when we look at the Elon Musks, or we look at the Steve Jobses, or when we look at the Picassos, or we look at the great, great chess champions, or the best violinists in the world, or wonderful chefs, I'm a big foodie, anyone out there that's doing something at world class, it's very easy to think that they were just in the right place at the right time. Or maybe they had a natural talent that you don't have. Maybe they had an easier background. Well, that's just not true. You have to do what it takes. Those people were simply a lot more intentional than the ordinary person. See, the average person in the world spends more time planning their summer vacation than they do reflecting on and then planning out their life. So if you look at any person who's successful, and this could be you'll find that they're not reactive. They're very strategic. And when I coach the seven-figure people, the millionaires one-on-one, when I look at these titans of their industry that I've met, and I've met some of the most amazing people in the world, all of those people, almost to a person, they all have their sheets of paper or their journals or their diaries or their game books or their playbooks, whatever you might want to call them, where they literally have all of their goals scripted out. And I guess what I'm suggesting to you is this: vague goals lead to vague results, and clarity breeds mastery. I've often heard this term called a brain tattoo, and a brain tattoo is simply a commonly held belief, like the ideas that I'm offering to you today that I want you to think about, that you continue to think about it until it becomes an obsession, until it becomes your way of thinking. And so here's a brain tattoo for you, and I really want you to hardwire this into your brain as a way of seeing the world. And that is: clarity breeds mastery. If you're not clear about what you want in your work, if you're not really dialed in with precision about what you want your impact to be at your next job and in your life in general, how can you hit a target that you simply cannot see? So I don't know where you're going, obviously, and this is an old idea. If you don't know where you're going, then any path will get you there. And life is just too short to be coasting through life hoping that one day you're going to wake up and you're going to get lucky. So success and productivity and real results are handcrafted by you. And so in life, one of the things that's helped me get these goal sheets that I do. And I'm always rewriting my goals. And I've got a framework in terms of how I set my goals and intentions that have been amazingly valuable for me. And the people that I coach one-on-one, like I said, a lot of the CEOs, a lot of the most successful leaders in their own industries, this framework that I'm going to teach you has been really, really helpful for them and to them. And so the first part of the framework is simply the big five. And I came up with this framework after watching a video about a couple who went on safari in South Africa. Now, this was one of those photographic safaris. It wasn't the kind where you're actually bagging the game. And I remember the game warden said, "We're going to go look for the big five game." And then he talked about the lion, and I don't remember actually what the other four were. I don't know, maybe it was the lion and then the giraffe or three others. But the idea that I took from that safari, where they were going after the top five game in the African savannah, was this. I asked myself, what are my big five game? What are the big five highest priorities that I want to hunt for the rest of my life? And here was the real question. I asked myself, what five things need to happen between today and the rest of my life for me to feel like I lived a legendary life? You can dial that down even further, and you can ask yourself, what are the top five things you need to accomplish in order to land and be successful at your dream job? What kind of training, what kind of mindset, and who do you need to become in order to get your ultimate result and to be successful at your ultimate job. So you want to write these things down in your journal, and you want to do that today. There's never been a better day to become the person that you've always wanted to be than today. And the Chinese say it, well, I think really beautifully. They say the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. So do this. Now, never leave an opportunity without taking some action to get it done. Every A player has a bias towards action versus chit-chat. So big five, that's the first thing I want you to do. Pull out your journal, or even just close your eyes and ask yourself, what 5 things must happen? And between now and my dream job, my ultimate result, what 5 things do I need to feel like I've lived a beautiful life? And then write those down. Positive psychologists talk about cues and triggers. So it's not cheesy and it's not metaphysical to write these things on your bathroom mirror or to have them pop up on your cell phone. So you want to be able to see your big 5 for your life, your perfect career, everywhere that you go. And they start to imprint not only in your subconscious mind, but also your conscious mind. Okay, so the second part of the framework is, what are your 5 main values? Do you really want to live in society's life? Do you want to live your neighbor's life? You become powerful when you become authentic. Few things are as powerful as a human being really comfortable in their own skin. You get an enormous energy, you get enormous power when you say, you know what, I'm going to live through my life on my own terms, running my own race, staying in my own lane, versus being a card-carrying member of the cult of mediocrity, and living your life according to the way that society says that you should live. One of the greatest sources of happiness, I think, is living life on your own terms. Knowing your definition of success and then having the bravery and the wisdom to live that out. So second part of the framework, write down your top 5 values, your main 5 values. For me, one of those is mastery, and another one is beauty. I look, everywhere I go, I look for beauty. Another one for me is contribution. It's really important to me in my life that I feel that I'm being an instrument of service to as many people as possible. It's one of the reasons that I make these videos. And to me, meaning is so much more important than money. And also integrity for me is so much more important than value, or more valuable than income. And so the second part of the framework really is detecting your 5 main values. And then the final part of the framework is what I call the daily 5. And this has helped so many people that I've coached and that I've taught. And it's helped them get to new levels of results in their lives and in their careers. And the daily 5 simply is this. When you get up every single morning, ask yourself, what 5 little wins must I achieve this day for this to be a valuable day? Because your days are your life in miniature. You're going to hear me say that to you personally if you were to be coached by me. I'm going to say it again. Your days are your life in miniature. And so as you live each day, so you craft your life. So if you could just ask yourself, what 5 little wins must I achieve today? And at the end of 30 days, if you execute on those, at the end of 30 days, you're going to have achieved 150 little victories. And at the end of 12 months from this moment, you and I are now sharing, you will have actually achieved 1,850 little goals. It's simply not possible for this not to be the best 12 months of your life. And if you've achieved 1,850 small incremental wins, okay, it's not just the results, it's who you have become when you are achieving the 1,850 results over the next 12 months. So set goals, remember that clarity breeds mastery, remember that vague plans lead to vague results, and really dial in what you want your life to look like, and then get these daily goals done. And I know that you can do it. Start right now by pulling out your journal and writing out your daily 5. 5 little wins that you will get done today, and say to yourself, make that commitment, make that devotion, say to yourself, I will not go to sleep tonight unless I get these 5 little wins done. And if you do that every day, what starts to happen is you build it in as a daily routine. You start to build a habit. And as I've suggested earlier, all changes are a little hard at first, and then it gets messy in the middle, and then it's very beautiful at the end. So if you practice being spectacular long enough, being spectacular becomes your way of being. So start the new habit of goal setting today. Stay with it until it becomes automatic. Well, I hope this has served you today, and I know it's a lot more esoteric than most of my advice videos, but I felt it was important to share because individual tips and tricks of resume writing, job search approaches, interviewing will only get you so far. And I wanted to get you some advice that had some real meat to the bone, so to speak. And again, I'm Tammy Kabell with Career Resume Consulting, and I look forward to reading your reaction to this in the comments below. And until we see each other next time, make it a very productive day. Bye now.